Welcome to another episode of Coffee with Samso. I've got Barry Moore here today on a tangent here with a crypto story. I think it's really fascinating now, especially with the focus on where crypto is going and obviously the resurgence of Bitcoin. Barry, look, the company's called Scarlett, and it's actually Perth-born. So Barry's been working on this project for a while, and they're looking to go to market very soon. I believe the app is online. But Barry, just give us an intro about yourself and share the story.
Yeah, cheers, thank you, Noel. So, I guess where we started about close to 2.5 years ago, and within that space, there was about 6 months first 6 months of really trying to work out where we wanted to head, in which direction within the crypto space. We started to develop a website, and as part of that website, basing it on an ICO through real estate, and creating smart contracts and ledgers for the real estate industry.
I guess for a lot of views, the term ICO actually stands for initial coin offer, as opposed to an IPO, which is your traditional listing on stock exchanges.
Correct.
Look, I mean, I was involved in a few ICOs going back 3 years now, and obviously that was all the rage, and there's always this. But I think the industry's changed a fair bit now in terms of where things are, how are people being used, and how often they're used.
Yeah, I believe this is the future, in the sense that countries are looking to digitise their economies, and as we become completely automated, completely digitised, having a focus on an industry such as real estate or such as the mining sector, having that on the blockchain, having the smart ledgers, being able to pay with the cryptocurrency or with the digital money, is definitely the way where the world is heading. So it's the right time to be involved, and even though there was probably quite a few, probably not the greatest ICOs back, as you were suggesting, 3 years ago, I agree that I think that things have changed, and it's definitely heading towards the way of the future, how we'll interact with money and how we interact with goods and services using money.
Just for viewers' sake, I think, I mean, even for myself, I find that I was very surprised at how people walking around with sort of debit cards or credit cards or whatever you want to call them. You tap and you're actually buying things with your cryptos.
Yes,
and that's suddenly appeared to me anyway. That it's in the market and people are using it a lot. Whereas going back to 3 years ago, I don't think that was really the norm.
No, it was all very small in any event. That I believe that was just taking off then. That was just under a lot of the company's development, and there was certainly a lot of challenges around that space for where the company was based, and then sending those cards internationally, and where the banking system would allow those cards to be used. There's still many challenges. We're lucky enough to be in some high-end meetings and negotiations at the moment with some tier 1 banks to facilitate that for us, and that will all come out in the next sort of month or so as we move along with those discussions to see where we're at with them.
Can you tell us, like, what is Scarlett effectively, in as layman's term as possible?
But basically, on top of how initially we were talking about the website and the real estate and the ICO, where we've gone from there is we've built a wallet and an exchange. The wallet and the exchange is live on the website, and it's also now available on Google Play on Android. And we should be live on iOS by or before Christmas. Once we're live on the iPhone, then we'll look at putting some more pairs on there. We have about, it's 11 or 12 off the top of my head, different cryptos at the moment, and so we'll continue to add the different cryptos and new cryptos as they're coming up every other week, a new crypto. So we'll continually add Where we've built our app is it's already ready for the consumer, so the consumer is able to go into a shop, or at the moment especially peer-to-peer. We're looking at, by early January, building the app for the merchant. So in this sense, you can go with your mobile phone, QR code, and for example scan with your coffee in the local coffee shop as they've downloaded the merchant software. Very easy, very simple to use. We built this in the mind. I was thinking of my 74-year-old father who can barely turn a computer on. So how can we engage the general population to understand and use crypto? So even though obviously the back end of what we can do, it's quite challenging, I guess is the word, or could be quite confusing for many people. The way we've built the app is for the layman person. You can open up, they can load up the digital currency or load up their crypto very simply pay with the app at the moment, or in the future once we partner up with a bank, MasterCard or Visa, be able to tap with a MasterCard or Visa. So,
In trying to understand what the app does, is it correct to say your app is the exchange? So you've got cryptos, which are numerous cryptos, we know that there's hundreds, thousands, right?
Thousands, yeah.
And then you're an exchange.
Yes, correct.
And these guys take crypto, well, let's say for myself, I have 5 cryptos ranging from Bitcoin to some obscure ones.
Yes.
And these are, if they're on your exchange, I can then use your app to transact.
Correct. That's correct.
And transact being, I can use it then to go buy a coffee or something with a card that it's a third-party card that allows them to talk to your exchange.
Correct.
And allow the transfer from crypto to fiat money.
Correct. That's correct.
Yeah. So and the business, obviously, from your point of view, is you want to load this up with credible cryptos.
Correct.
That allows consumers like myself to be able to transact through exchange.
That's correct.
And the exchange then makes sort of money from that, obviously.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. So that journey, from start to end, I mean, that's from those people who are technically sort of on the low side. Can you just tell us what that journey is and where the issues could come from outside?
I guess initially we were developing for about 12 months, and how with new tech coming out and different ideas coming out, we basically rubbed off the whiteboard and have started from scratch. So this is the problem, I guess, with the tech and how you can use the tech, the usability, as those ideas grow and as it becomes well, I guess through COVID, it's become more advanced in terms of usability. That as countries now are talking about turning digital currency. Luckily enough, we were ahead of the game back in January and decided back then that we actually needed to update to be ready for this. So we began redevelopment back in January to literally be ready for countries becoming digital. So it was a bit of a coincidence then COVID happening in that February, March, or the impact that we didn't know was about to occur. We should be at the point by sometime early January, February of starting to build our own blockchain. I won't go too much into how we're going to do it, but basically, in layman's terms, we're going to allow for our blockchain with the interconnectivity, so that, for example, Cambodia, they're building their own blockchain for their digital community, digital economy, and no one has really thought of too much of how these blockchains are going to communicate. So we're sort of at the development stage now, where we're going to enable and allow multiple blockchains to communicate through us as the node.
Okay.
Bit bit more complex, and don't want to go into depth.
Yeah, you'll lose half of us anyway.
Yes.
But in terms of obviously the $1 million question for everybody, and I think this was the big issue with cryptos when it first started, is security, right? I mean, okay, we get that you've got an exchange and I've got 5 cryptos and you've listed them there. How do we, from a consumer point of view, feel secure that this is not going to be hacked or whatever?
I guess with the multiple issues there's been in the past with these hackings, I'm not sure so much that the companies behind them didn't have the experience, or they were maybe very sort of third tier in the sense of their product that they'd built and delivered. That they weren't really caring about the consumer. They were after the quick dollar. They wanted to make their money on the ICO. 2 years later, they were packed up, whether they were hacked or not. And unfortunately, that was a big problem with ICOs. It's basically impossible. It is impossible to hack the blockchain itself. In terms of wallets and then security around that, I guess it's just like your everyday bank, right? You've got your app, you've got your Westpac, your ANZ, or whatever. If you choose to share your QR codes online or your passwords online, and you choose to not put in appropriate addresses with the HTTPS, then you are open to being hacked, to lose your funds. I'm sure though, as the industry sort of grows, that there'll be insurance companies, sort of like the bank, where you'll be protected. I'm sure that there's other smart companies that are now looking at how can we protect users from these attacks, because of course it's not always the user's fault. Sometimes it's a credible attack on your wallet and there's nothing much that you can do. Just no different than when, for example, I lost $800 I was actually physically in Beijing and they hacked my Westpac in Beijing, and that was that. $800 was gone. What could I do? I called the bank and they replaced the money. So I'm sure that as we advance within that crypto space, that there'll be other companies that will step up to ensure against such attacks.
Obviously, in the last few weeks, with the onset of Bitcoin going to, or PayPal accepting Bitcoin and things like that, how has that impacted on your journey, like going forward with the people you talk to?
Oh, look, I guess in a way, in the overall scheme of things, as we stated before, there's maybe 1,000 odd plus cryptos. There's maybe 50 odd blockchains or 100 odd blockchains, maybe roughly. How many cafes are there just in, for example, in Perth? There must be over 20,000 cafes for a very small population of 1.8 million. I think that where crypto is so new, only 10 years, and we're probably still between 5 to 10 years away from it really becoming mainstream, where every ounce or every inch of our society has incorporated the digital currency or crypto in some way, and the block exchange, for example, procurement or such things. As companies update their IT systems to handle that, the blockchain, and handle those ledgers, no matter what, this will be the future. And I think just for the fact that we're in there within that space, any competition, healthy competition. I'm happy that PayPal's out there and doing it, because suddenly we can say, well, we're there next to PayPal. We've already got finished product. PayPal's still developing. They're meant to be $1 billion tech company. We're only a small Perth conglomerate, and we sort of beat them in this space.
I think in some ways it's good. It's given sort of credibility to the whole scene. Whereas we've had, when I was involved in the ICOs, everyone was just, this is sort of a fairy tale thing. It's all a scam, and those kind of comments was synonymous with ICOs, cryptos.
Yes.
And then when the crypto world sort of took a dive, they sort of said, well, so there you go.
Yes.
Now it's come back with resurgence, and I think, I guess it's like everything new, right? It takes that time for people to suddenly realise that this is not as scammy as, or it's more credible than you first thought. Right?
That's right. Yeah.
Because there are a couple of ladies in Fremantle. I forget the name of the business. They've been sort of talking to retailers to implement the merchant software that you talk about,
Yes.
so that people then can purchase items from cafes and things like that.
Yes.
So that was happening probably a year and a half ago that I met with them.
Yes.
And I think that was really sort of ongoing.
Yes.
And now I'm seeing people walking around with these cards and they say, oh, I just get any card, like your Westpac card or CBA card.
Yes.
So where is, obviously I've missed somewhere where they've gone from, it's very, very niche to suddenly very day to day.
I think that's just the way the tech world is. It evolves so quickly. People talk. People want to be involved in the latest things. You know, it's like when the latest TV comes out, everyone wants it.
Yeah.
And I think that with the re-rise of Bitcoin, that's what sparked this. That people are now jumping sort of back on the bandwagon. Then with countries, you know, such as the European Union has just announced they would like to digitise, and they're asking for feedback. Russia is looking at digitising. Cambodia is digitising as we speak, and will most likely be one of the first countries in the world. Places like Burma and Vietnam are now looking into it. As the world digitises, it's unstoppable. And if you can come up with, with our RCO, we believe that we've got a very good product behind it, because we're in the building industry in Perth, which is an extremely stable place to build, an extremely stable place to complete the projects, complete building, and there's always excellent returns on the buildings in Perth. So then with the investors getting a return on the rent roll and a return on the profits from the development, these types of, I guess, it's really quite innovative in this sense, that these RCOs can really make a lot of money, not just for the company itself, but for the investors and for the local community as the company builds, and doing, I guess, everything eco-friendly, digital-friendly. You know, there's no more digging money out of the ground and chopping down trees to make paper notes, I guess, in some countries. So, you know, you're talking a whole lot of environmental context that I guess the ladies down in Fremantle, they would have thoroughly enjoyed the fact that they no longer, you know, Fremantle's a bit more green. That they enjoy the fact that everything's becoming digital, and that's a lot less mining that we're impacting on the planet to create money. I mean, on top of that, money's extremely dirty. Obviously now COVID, I guess, that's out there more a bit of a discussion, but it's always been very dirty. You know, you don't know what people have been doing with that $10 note before the shop assistant's giving it back to you. Has changed. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you see that around now where they big sign saying we don't take cash because of that. Whereas, you know, 20 years ago it was the opposite. We don't take credit, we only take cash.
Yes, that's right.
And but going back to your digitising the national money and things, I think there was a talk about China digitising, creating digital currency.
Yes. Which
I think, you know, I'm actually quite bullish on the market, and I think, you know, it's an industry that's I guess it's almost growing at such a rapid rate that it's hard to catch on, and you're going to miss bits and pieces. And it's a new concept in a sense.
Yes.
And also, I think where you guys are coming from, as I understand it, you're an exchange, right?
Yes.
So effectively, you are just effectively trying to allow people to trade their crypto.
Yes.
or used crypto.
Trade and use, that's
Yeah.
correct, yes.
And as a business, that's where you earn your dough, I guess.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we'll take a raise up. You know, it'll be under 0.0001 of a cent, I guess, of a transaction, but much cheaper than I guess Visa or Mastercard or such that someone would use now. There's obviously also the speed and free transactions, peer-to-peer, instant transactions, instant international transactions.
I mean, I just recently had to transfer some money to family and things. Then I went the traditional way using your bank platform and things like that.
Yes.
And then I was suddenly introduced to TransferWise.
Yes.
And I was so surprised at how fast and how easy it was. And it was significantly cheaper in fees, right?
Yes.
So going forward, people, I think it's the management fee that you're going to see. Suddenly you save so much.
Yes.
And then you look at your exchange rate where the transfer is lower or higher than, say, CBA or something like that. It almost becomes irrelevant unless you're transferring like big sums, right?
That's right.
You're transferring a couple $100.
It saves money.
It's actually the transfer fee that hurts you more than the exchange rate. Right?
Yes. Yes.
So I think in going forward, things like this, I can see where people can get that value in the sense that you're, like you said, you know, I'm going to transfer some money to you or buy something overseas, and the average Joe is not doing $50,000. The average Joe is doing $100 or $200, and you can see the savings in fees.
Yes, that's correct. Yes, for sure. And it's especially, I know that there's some cigar merchants, for example, in America, they've now started taking Bitcoin from the international customers, and purely it's an instant transaction for them, and cheaper transaction for them. So they're receiving the Bitcoin, the customers then are actually receiving their goods in an expedited process, because the cigar merchants receive their money instantly, and it's a very seamless process. So in this sense, as we move forward, the usability of not just Bitcoin but multiple cryptocurrencies, and for those out there that are wishing to start their own, you know, I really implore them to go out and do it and have a crack. I'd love to see our state government embracing blockchain, embracing digital currency, and especially in this time, there's so much scope and opportunity to creating tech hubs. And as the way forward, I mean, for example, we were out with some friends last night in Leederville, and we had to pull into the car park and pay for the ticket. Some lady's money got jammed in there and whatnot. There was all a big fuss. So we eventually went back to the car and put our ticket up, and we went into the little cafe there in Leederville and had a coffee. And I was saying with the group there that I've been going to meet, I said it's funny because over in Estonia, which is a very not quite third world, but a very small economic country, and coming out of the ex-Soviet Union, yet everything there is on blockchain. So you drive into a car park there, you're on the blockchain, they're scanning your number plate, that's going automatically through to your phone, and you're leaving the car park and you're paying for that ticket digitally straight through your phone, all through the blockchain. And you know, these small countries, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, they're so far advanced in their thinking. Yet here in Australia and obviously over in America and a lot of our Western countries, we've got a long way to grow. So you know, I really believe that there's space that multiple companies can be getting behind this. There's room for collaboration, there's room to work together, and there's a space where we can develop this industry that's for the benefit of everyone, actually.
So going forward as a business, I mean, are you guys looking, what's your path forward in terms of business-wise?
I guess as we speak, we're live for our ICO as of today. That's now gone live. People will be able to download the app and start buying the Scarlett token. We've already pre-arranged a partnership with a large hotel group and a large builder here in Perth to buy some land, build the hotel for the hotel group, international hotel group, and we're in preliminary discussions with them so shall the ICO work out on a 15 year lease with a substantial rent return back to us. So, and then we're looking at some other developments with some key builders. And then I guess moving forward, we'll just continue to develop our technology. We'll continue to develop our product with developing our own blockchain, as I stated earlier, and continually adding pairs to our exchange. So there's more offerings for people to purchase. There's some of those more obscure cryptos that are out there, and yeah, I guess in the end we're really excited. Actually, we're really excited that where we're going, and it's probably I know even my own family has sometimes the trouble grasping the ideas or the concept that we've come up with. But I guess as we keep moving forward, maybe over the next 6 months, it's going to be very mainstream, and it's very exciting to be in that space at a very early stage.
For the viewers out there who's sort of caught on to the concept and they like the idea and they would like to sort of get in the action, I suppose, the better words to use, what could they do? I mean, could they invest in what you're doing, or do they just take up the coins and look at the exchange?
Yeah, they take up the ICO, the Scarlett token. That's the simplest way to do it. It's all going to be about usability. So with all these cryptos out there, that's what it's about. So gathering the users, we've had some quite good traction in the past few weeks, and we're slowly building on social media. We're slowly getting it out there. We've had some very productive meetings with some key investors that are looking to invest. So yeah, we're very excited, and we really believe that our RCO is going to work, and the product will work, and that everyone will be happy in the end. And also the overall product that we're building will be able to be implemented in the general mainstream society, which is also an exciting sort of space to be in such its infancy.
Oh, fantastic, Barry. I mean, look, it's a sort of a concept that's, I think, it's easy to think about, hard to really grasp on and have a good feel.
Yeah.
But I think it definitely is the new world to come, without a doubt. With digital currency, and I don't think it's an ICO new concept thing. I think a lot of nations, if you look at news releases, are actually coming into this kind of world.
Yes.
More so than not, right?
Yes.
So, look, Barry, thank you for sharing. I really appreciate you giving time to having a chat. I'd love to continue to follow your story, and hopefully we can get an update on how things are. And just give the viewers, continue to feel free to send me some comments and questions, and I'll pass them on to Barry. Barry, I'm sure, will be happy to help you out in better understanding of the concept.
Yeah, more than happy.
In the meantime, continue to hit that like button and subscribe to us. It helps us get the story out a bit more. Again, thank you, Barry.
Okay,
and let's see if we can continue the story.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.